Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Golden Opportunity Coaching and Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channels. Obviously, this is Pro Wrestling Logic, and this is the January 14th edition of SmackDown for 2022. They recap the Roman Reigns deal from last week, also Seth Rollins' return. Michael Cole and Pat McCaffrey are discussing Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins going face-to-face later in the evening. They also mentioned that Lita's returning to SmackDown for the first time in 20 years. Can't believe it's been that long, and also sad that they feel they need to bring someone back from 20 years ago as a way to fill time. Usos come out next. Jey Uso noted that the best New Day last week, but they respect them. New Day are the only team to push them to their limit. Jimmy claimed the Usos are the greatest tag team of all time. Not sure about that. Jay then thinks they should help Roman Reigns when they go face-to-face with Seth Rollins. Management set up a fatal four-way to determine the next challengers. Jimmy then did the introduction for each team. Fatal four-way. Championship contenders match. What a stupid match. 9:34. Viking Raiders defeat Los Lotharios, Cesaro and Mansoor, and Jinder Mahal and Shanky. It dragged its spots, but also the teams are just thrown together. Usos give instructions to all four teams, and they superkick Ivar and Mansoor. The Usos then slip out of the ring and brawl breaks out before they go to break. Match starts during commercials, so that shows how much it matters to them. Mahal and Shanky isolate Eric in the corner, beat him down. Ivar tags in and knocks Angel and Humberto off the apron. He then knocks Mansoor and Cesaro off the apron as well. Shanky then misses a splash in the corner. Eric drops Ivar on Shanky in the corner. Ivar then climbs to the top rope, but Mahal cuts him off. Mahal and Ivar fight on the top rope. Cesaro then jumps up and ultimately tries to stop Mahal from a double superplex. Instead, Eric jumped into me grabbing my phone, apparently. And it's more just because the WWE is just bringing about the same matches and the same matches and the same matches over and over and over again. And it's not, first of all, it's not entertaining. Second of all, it's not healthy for the talent. Third of all, the talent are wasting their bodies around things that people won't remember in 5 years. I mean, can you, honestly, as a person who watches the program, this is my, 33rd year as a fan. There are things I can remember from my childhood. I couldn't tell you 10 things that have happened in the last 5 years of WWE that are meaningful. And a big part of that is just their failures as an organization to bring about memorable moments. Anyway, so back from the break, Humberto tries to prevent Mansoor from tagging Cesaro. Mansoor then fights back, and Cesaro gets a hot tag. Cesaro goes nuts, gives Humberto the Samoan drop. Cesaro goes after Ivar gives him the giant swing. Humberto breaks that up. Mahal comes in and hits a Kinshasa on Humberto. Then Los Lotharios gives Mahal a double super kick, hit the double suicide dive, Mahal and Shanky. Ivar then sets up for a dive, but Lotharios come back, double super kicks everywhere because it's the new DDT or the new body slam. It's just pathetic how reliant wrestling has become on moves that really are ineffective. Anyway, the Viking Raiders fight back and hit the Viking Experience on Humberto for the win. Viking Raiders are number one contenders for tag team titles. Usos jumped in and taunt the Viking Raiders from the announce table. They recap Sonya Deville interfering in Naomi's match with Charlotte. Naomi approaches Deville's office. Naomi's furious at Deville for interfering in her business last week. Demands to know why Deville has a problem with her. Deville pointed out that Naomi can't touch her as long as she's wearing a jacket because she's management. Anyway, Deville threatens Naomi and she'd lose the Royal Rumble spot, getting fired if she touched her. Naomi walked off, and then Pierce walks into the office. He notices it's cold in the room. Pierce turns the temperature up. They show a recap of the Shield Sami Zayn segment. Sami Zayn is a good talent, but he's not in the best of situations. Zayn discussed the conspiracy of Johnny Knoxville joining the Royal Rumble and getting in the ring to earn a spot in the Rumble because Zayn has entered the Rumble too. Zayn is also upset Knoxville thinks he could be a wrestler. However, Zayn can do whatever Knoxville does and do it better. He claims that everyone knows that he's a bigger jack wagon um, than anybody here, including but not limited to Knoxville. Zayn then introduces the show in Zayn. Zayn runs the back, comes back with a shopping cart with two nameless guys pretending basically they're doing a jackass knockoff. Two guys go to push Zayn, but Zayn keeps stopping them. Finally, Zayn goes to do the stunt, stops. The last second, he jumps in the ring, and Boogs and Shinsuke Nakamura appear out of nowhere. Boogs cut his hair, and it takes him a minute to be kind of looking. In the back, Aaliyah is worried about embarrassing herself tonight in her first singles match on SmackDown. Natalya approaches and notes there's no shame in losing to anyone in WWE, basically. And then there's no shame in losing to her. Natalya said she holds the record for the Guinness Book of World Records. Aaliyah claimed she didn't know that still existed, and Natalya didn't appreciate the comment. Aaliyah then runs to the ring. Natalya promises to break the Guinness records of 3.8 seconds for the fastest women's match. Aaliyah defeats Natalya in 2.79. I don't even know how that works. So Natalya jumps in. Aaliyah jumps her before the match, beating her down, but beats her in 3 minutes 17 seconds. The referee asks Aaliyah if she could continue. Aaliyah doesn't answer. The bell rings. Aaliyah instantly catches Natalya with a small package. And after the match, they announced Aaliyah's new record fastest women's match in 3.17 seconds. In the back, Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce are impressed with Aaliyah's win. They note that it's hot in the office. Recaps Seth Rollins turning on the Shield. Lita comes back, which is fine, except why do we care about somebody from 20 years ago from a logistics standpoint? There's a Lita chant. Cole notes that Lita influenced women's current roster, wondered why Lita decided to enter the Royal Rumble this year. She said she's never been in a Rumble match. Lita feels that she's got one more run left in her. She plans on winning the Rumble and main eventing WrestleMania. Fans pop. SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair interrupts and makes her way down to basically interrupt. Flair grabs the mic from Cole and takes over the interview. Flair mocks Lita and points out that she's entering the Rumble as champion. Flair promised to win the Rumble, throw Lita out, and pick her opponent for WrestleMania. Flair wondered how she's going to deal with losing. Lita then calls Flair Tanya Harding and made fun of her giant head. Fans break into a loud giant head chant. Flair mentioned defeating Lita's friend Trish Stratus before. They recap the 12 Days of Christmas street fight from last month. They also recap Ricochet beating Ridge Holland in a day one thing. This is after Lita hits the twist of fate on Flair in a predictable end to the segment. In the back, Sheamus notes that Holland's at home because of Ricochet. Promised to get some revenge tonight. Sheamus then defeats Ricochet 9 minutes 36 seconds. They have a decent enough match. However, the match doesn't have any long-term consequence under any circumstances, so it is what it is. Ricochet has an early advantage. Takes a side headlock. Sheamus breaks free. Hits a shoulder tackle and stomps Ricochet's fingers. Ricochet sends Sheamus to the floor, follows up with a dive. Sheamus then regains control by tripping Ricochet back from the break. Sheamus is firmly in control. Ricochet fights back and goes after him pretty aggressively, and then springboard crossbody off the second rope, and then regains control. Sheamus then misses the brogue kick, enters into on the ring apron. Sheamus then avoids 450 splash. Ricochet lands on his feet. Sheamus recovers and hits a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker. Sheamus attempts white noise off the top rope, but Ricochet breaks that up. Ricochet fights back with a sunset flip powerbomb into another close near fall and tries to run forward there. Anyway, so they handspring knee. Sheamus gets his knees up and hits a broad kick midair for the win. They recap Aaliyah defeating Natalya, Adam Pearce, and Sonya Deville. Discuss the rules of Royal Rumble. They're talking about things still being hot. Pearce runs to the back of Greece. Deville cost Naomi her match last week. Pearce announced Naomi versus SmackDown's Women's Champion Charlotte Flair in a championship contenders match. Next week, they recap Seth Rollins defeating Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 31. Can't believe that was that long ago. Anyway, Madcap Moss with Happy Corbin defeats Kofi Kingston 5:45. Match is fine, although Moss and Corbin are just still here. Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss make their way to the ring. Corbin notes that Corbin's basically happy because he's rich and good looking. The only thing that gets that going is making things happier. Throwing Kingston out of the Royal Rumble, they only make things when they're happier and they're injured. Drew McIntyre's neck. Moss then had told a bad joke and started laughing until Kingston brings him back around and ultimately starts laughing. Kingston promises to defeat Moss. Moss then picks up Kingston, but then reversed and set Moss on the floor. Kingston then hits dive, wiping out the heels as they're going to break. Back from the break, Moss is firmly in control and then gave Kingston a fallaway slam. Kingston fights back and nails Moss with a clothesline, and a dropkick follows up with a kick to the chest and the boom drop, and then Trouble in Paradise, but Corbin causes a distraction. Moss avoids Trouble in Paradise and briefly takes over. Kingston goes flying crossbody, but Moss catches Kingston. Moss counters into the punchline for the win, and then there's a face-to-face between Reigns and Rollins. I don't know, Reigns and Rollins have a nice segment, but it kind of just is there to fill time. Seth Rollins comes to the ring first before going to the break. Universal Champion Roman Reigns made his entrance. McCaffrey lets us know that he's been champion for 502 days. Cole added that breaks Brock Lesnar's record when he reaches 504. Fans break into a loud Roman chant. Reigns then demands that Omaha acknowledge him. Fans break into a Roman chant. Rollins tries to get Reigns to put his fist out and now that's beneath him. Rollins points out that he beat Reigns every time they fought. Reigns then notes that he's in God mode and is greatest of all time. Rollins says he's here to acknowledge Reigns' accomplishment. Rollins points out that Reigns didn't win the title on his own. First, he needed the help of Heyman. Then he needs the Usos. Rollins claims Reigns could destroy them if he wanted to. Reigns felt that he's wasting time here. He notes that Rollins dresses like a clown, sounds like a clown because he is a clown. He admitted that he wouldn't have picked Rollins from Raw. He wanted to face a megastar. He would have picked Rollins' wife. Suddenly, the Usos try to jump Rollins. They run into the ring from the announce table. Usos chase. Rollins escapes, and there's a stare down before he runs away. Next week, Charlotte Flair takes on Naomi in Championship Contenders match. That's supposed to intrigue us. Somehow, I don't think it will all that much. Anyway, we'll be back with more right after this.